Hello there, welcome to Genesis Models. My name is Bob Waldron and welcome to another episode of our Spitfire build. We have issues 7, 8, 9, 10 that have arrived in the post, and we're working on this in this episode. What also came with this set of issues was a cool little binder, really sort of nice and cool, where you can keep all of your magazines just in here, hopefully, as you can see. So really nice to see that, to keep everything sort of nice and tidy and looking rather cool. So moving along with the build, a lot of these four issues is a lot of sort of just cutting off sprues and gluing little pieces on, so should be a quick one. But first off, we do have a slight little sort of fit issue, shall we say. Just here we have this, what looks like a hose of some sort. Doesn't quite fit very well. I've got mine to fit, but basically we need to do a little bit of sanding, or should we say filing, because we are dealing with metal. So nice to go off and get some sort of file set or something. I've been using these ones here, very sort of like coarse, which really sort of sands this away. And basically we're just sort of sanding the sides there. As you can see where the bare metal's showing, both sides all the way around. Give it a bit of a sand, right, and even to come in on the inside just here, giving that a little bit of a file inside there all the way around, and then it does eventually fit. Right, but mine did not fit very well at all to get that in, so it had to be filed down. And then we move along, and as you can see, I've already sort of put loads and loads of little bits on here and there. There's absolutely sort of loads, as you can see, going on here and there. And then we basically move on to the next magazine. Moving along with magazine 8, right, we're going to start putting our Supercharger together. These sort of big pegs that are in sort of like the inside, I don't actually mind sort of actually coming in and just dolloping a nice amount on these pegs, because you ain't really going to see these. So a nice little dollop there, and then just make sure you get it orientated right, which looks like that. And this one needs a little bit of a press just to get it in there before the glue goes off. Right, really nice sort of press, because you don't want it to go off before you've got it squeezed down, because it is quite a bit of a tight fit. And then we go, the Supercharger is really sort of taking shape now. Now in issue 9 things get a little bit tricky, sort of not so good on the fit issues and everything. So I've already sort of gone through, test fitted, and you'll probably find some problems in these areas. Well, first off, if I just quickly show you the instructions, we have these two pieces here that it wants you to glue them in. I did test fit, and it's probably not advised to glue them straight away. Basically, it's sort of a little bit awkward when we sort of like place this whole piece in as one. It doesn't seem to want to fit that well, and that's because of these two hoses that go across the top just here and here. They don't seem to want to go in when they're glued to that bottom bit there. So what I found was to glue the bottom bit in first, and then sort of sadly have to sort of kind of almost bodge it a bit, gluing these two hoses on either side. You could probably see maybe they don't line up so well over here and over here, just not quite, you know, a little bit of gappage, a little bit of a pain. But I'm kind of guessing that we're not really going to see it, because we're going to see the top, and the top does look nice, but it was sort of not really the best of fit. So it is best if you kind of don't glue those hoses on until the end. But again, moving along, I do believe there was another fit issue with putting this Supercharger on, or should we say we could do with getting as much space out of this as possible. So I'll just quickly turn this page, and what it wants us to do is to actually, we've got these 4 holes just here, which we just nicely pop that in there. And when that's in there, what's going to happen is we've got all these little hoses that's going to connect to this side and needs to connect over here. but they just don't quite reach, or they're a little bit sort of tight to get in. So what I'm basically going to do is, I've noticed that just down here, I don't know how well you're going to pick this up, but just here there's like this little lip that's potentially just pushing it out that little bit, and in situations like this, sort of every little millimeter or a micro millimeter could just help. And if I take this off, you'll be able to see a little bit more clearly. You might be able to see this little step just there, and I think what's happening is that little step is potentially just pushing this out just that little bit. Let's say it's just going to help to kind of get rid of that. So nice bit of sanding, right, going off, getting a really nice coarse sanding stick. And what we're going to do is, without you know, messing up any other parts, we just want to sand this back so it's nice and flush. Right, well actually this is metal, so this might actually take a little bit more sanding than anticipated. So, you know, just keep on sanding at it. I know it's metal, but you know, it does eventually get there, but we do need every bit of length to this as possible, and this is kind of getting in the way. That's all been sanded away now. I did come in with a file in the end because it was proving a bit tricky, but then I did finish it off with a normal sanding stick just to get away the scratches and sort of work down your way around down the grits. So what we want to do is, this is going to go on here, which is fitting better now, but the best way, because it's such a bit of a tight fit, what we want to do is we want to start off with our pieces first. Yep, just found it just here, and this is the culprit we're after just here. And what we're going to do is we want to glue it on here first. Alright, so let's just get you a little bit better on camera. So what I'm going to do, a bit of super glue. I'm actually going to dip the super glue, dip our piece into the super glue where it's going to go in. I'm doing this end first, right, because it just makes the whole process easier. Right, so I'm just gluing that on there first, maybe get a little bit, maybe just underneath here, just to help it hold in place, because as I say, it is really tight. By doing it on here first, because what the problem is, we've got this whole process of we could glue it on this piece first, like we got here. Right, but then we got this whole process of, I'll just show you once I've got it on, just pop this on here. We've got this whole process of, this is glued into place just here, and then we've got to sort of like try and pull this hose over to where it needs to be, which is all sort of a bit tricky and whatnot. Whereas if it's glued on here first, it's just seems a bit easier just to actually then put this, the other end, in that end, right? So that's why I'm going about it this way. So let's get this glued into place here. Oh, very messy then. Also, just to note as well, I am kind of guessing where these go. This is where I've actually put them. The instructions, the picture in the instructions isn't very clear. You do kind of have to read the description, and it does say that you want to sort of put it on, you know, tech part 908, and then apply it to the recess on part 901, which kind of gives you an indication that it's these two little recesses. I've just put them in there. Again, I'm kind of guessing because it wasn't very clear, but it does look like that's where they go. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But it does look good there. And then once that's dried, let's glue this onto here. So with that now glued into place, we want to get one of these pipes to go in there, which should be easy now. So I'm just getting a bit of super glue because we are gluing into metal. There's a little hole just here. I'm just going to put a nice little bit of super glue in that hole, not so much that it oozes, but enough to glue it into place. Using some tweezers, we basically want to now sort of, it should be able to be easier, although it's a bit of a tight fit and I can feel it sort of you know, pulling a little bit. It's not pulling as much as when I did a test fit and I was trying to sort of get it. It was really sort of pulling it, but that little bit of sanding has just given us feel. I mean, it's still a bit tight, but it does feel like it's not as tight, which is better. And basically we do the same to this piece here, just sort of put it into there nicely. We might have to give it a bit of a pull as well, and that gets them nicely, and then just adds some more cool detail to this whole cool engine here. We have a cool one now, just putting in, I think they're like spark plugs or injectors or something. Right, these are really cool. It's like this sort of rubbery sort of plastic going on, and what we need to do is glue these on. Now we want to sort of get it just right. It's got to go in, see this little peg here, and we've got a little hole just here. That goes in there just like that, and then it sits on this little sort of rail bit just here. Now the way it sits and the way you glue it, you want to glue it so it's virtually sort of like they're pointing up like this, like a 90-degree angle. It's a little bit sort of tricky with the pictures and the instructions, but you want them sort of sticking up like that, not like going like that. Right, you want them sort of nicely up. It just sort of helps them sit better when you put them all in. So I'm just going to glue it into that little corner just there, and I'm going to glue them onto this rail. With that now glued into place, we need to put each and every one of these individual, I think they're spark plugs to be fair, into our engine block just here. So I'll just start off with this end. What we're going to do is just get a little bit of super glue on the end of a cocktail stick. Right, I'm just going to sort of give a nice little blob, just on the end of our, I think it's a spark plug, like so. And then what we need to do with the tweezers, you know, quickly before it dries, we need to get it and then sort of push it into that hole just like so. And you want to try and get it so that everything's kind of nice and all sort of uniform. Right, I didn't quite do it the opposite side, which I'll show you in a sec. Hold it so it sticks, and there we go. As you can see, I mean, I didn't quite get mine sort of uniform this side. They're a bit, you know, but basically it's sort of getting it to glue in so it's as much as a right angle as possible. I mean, it is rubber, so it sort of bends a bit, but as much as a right angle going up that way as possible, and trying to get all the these bends to try and sort of maybe look the same, sort of getting that same sort of curve, so when you sort of put it in, you know, they're kind of, you know, looking sort of nice and symmetrical and uniform and sort of cool and everything, and that should end up giving you something like that. Now as for the exhaust, this is one I don't want to glue in, right? So I'm just going to show you quickly how they look. How did they go now? Which way? I think it was it this way? Yeah, I think it was that way. Basically, no, it isn't that way, is it? No, this goes this end, right? So these go in here. They do fit quite well, right? But the reason why I don't want to glue these in is, I mean, they line up straight quite nicely, but as you can see, there's a bit of a wobble, right? And that bit of a wobble, when we actually put the engine into the frame, and we put those engine cowls on, I mean, that there could sort of make them look a little bit off. So I'm going to glue in the engine first, then with the engine cowls on, I'll probably glue these exhausts on then, just to make sure that that little wobble we got there isn't going to make it look a bit off. We'll get it looking really nice when it's in. So I'm going to leave them off. I advise you to do the same. And I said that is it. We have come to the end of these 4 magazines in this episode. Engine's starting to come along rather nicely. I am seeing a lot of sort of detail going into it, and it should look really sort of cool at the end, and then hopefully we can sort of get on with the frame part of Spitfire and everything, and even jumping into the cockpit and everything. So got all that to look forward to, but hopefully you've enjoyed that. But until next time, my name is Bobby Waldron, this is Genesis Models, and I'll catch you later. soon.